If you've been on social media, the internet, or CNN in the last few weeks, chances are you've seen or heard the words, "Okay, boomer." But what is this phrase exactly? Well, it pretty clearly refers to the baby boomer generation, or people born from 1945 to 1964. But why are people suddenly so mad about being called boomers? Well, that's because younger generations like millennials and Gen Z have picked it up as a way to sort of dismiss older people, specifically when they're sharing their thoughts or complaints about things like politics or climate reform or technology or just change in general. Welcome to the Big Rewind Deep Dive, where we take a closer look at what's trending, and today, that's "Okay, boomer." I feel like I'm talking to Google. Okay, Google. Now, obviously, the best way to dive into all of this is to just read the Urban Dictionary definition of "Okay, boomer." When a baby boomer says some dumb shit and you can't even begin to explain why he's wrong, because that would be deconstructing decades of misinformation and ignorance, you just brush it off and say, "Okay, boomer." The phrase has taken a more sarcastic and dismissive tone over the last couple months in general, but the real reason everybody, and I mean everybody's talking about it right now, is because of a tweet that went viral by a radio host named Bob Lonsberry. There's no chance that's his real name. He's being criticized for tweeting, "Boomer is the N-word of ageism." No.
Clearly, this fella needs to play the hot new game, "Is this the new N-word?" No, it's not. Thank you for playing.
If you're comparing the badness of two words and you won't even say one of them, that's the worst word.
Now, the idea of younger generations being annoyed that the older parents or grandparents just don't get it is nothing new. But for some reason, it seems to be hitting harder this time around. As the New York Times reports, "Okay, boomer" marks the end of friendly generational relations. The irony of this being an article in the New York Times, a newspaper outlet, which you could argue is the baby boomer of media, but I digress. In the end, boomer is just a state of mind. You don't like change, you don't understand new things, especially related to technology, you don't understand equality. Being a boomer is just having that attitude. It can apply to whoever is bitter toward change. Now, admittedly so, it's not always used in the proper context. Sometimes it is just a young person being disrespectful and trying to dismiss someone. But it's also been used in more formal settings as a way to actually drive a point home.
In the year 2050, I will be 56 years old. Yet, right now, the average age of this 52nd Parliament is 49 years old. Okay, boomer.
As seen in the New Zealand Parliament floor. Now, I get it. What it really boils down to is the fact that younger generations don't like having their ideas dismissed, and older people don't like being told they're old and just dismissed in general. But if someone does say, "Okay, boomer," to you, maybe there's a reason for it. Take a step back, think about the thought that you just expressed and how it might not be the most up-to-date or woke thought out there. Because after all, saying, "Okay, boomer," is really just us saying, "Hey, get off our lawn," except that we can't afford lawns because boomers permanently destroyed the housing market.